On behalf of Fairs and More Incorporated, our partners at Koelnmesse Private Limited, and the Philippine Food Processors and Exporters Organization, it is our pleasure to welcome you to today's exhibitor briefing for Anuga Select India 2026. We are honored to be joined by distinguished leaders and stakeholders from the Philippine food and beverage industry as we prepare for the first Philippine Pavilion at Anuga Select India 2026, organized by PhilFedEx. Your presence here today reflects the dedication and leadership that continue to drive the growth and global recognition of Filipino food and beverage products. Together, we have an important opportunity to present the quality, innovation, and world-class capabilities of the Philippine food and beverage sector to a broader international market. As one of India's premier international trade platforms for food and beverages, Anuga Select India provides a valuable venue to strengthen business partnerships, engage with global buyers and suppliers, and expand the Philippines' presence in one of the world's fastest growing markets. We look forward to your participation and to the success of this milestone initiative for the Philippine food industry. I'm 𝐬𝐩𝐞𝐫𝐬. I'm with Fairs and More Incorporated, and this afternoon we will be hearing from the distinguished industry leaders and partners who will share their valuable insights on the opportunities presented by Anuga Select India 2026, the Philippines' participation in this landmark initiative, and the evolving landscape of global food and beverage industry. To formally open today's program, please welcome Ms. Dawn Cabigon, Chief Executive Officer of Fairs and More Incorporated, the official representative of Koelnmesse in the Philippines, for the opening remarks. We will also hear from Mr. Mithia, Group Director of Koelnmesse Private Limited, who will discuss how to unlock India's food and beverage market through Anuga Select India. Following this, Ms. Justine Bautista Reyes, Project Manager of Anuga Select India Pavilion, Philippine Delegation, will present the PhilFedEx participation process and other key information for exhibitors. With that, let us begin. At this point, may we invite Ms. Dawn Cabigon for the opening remarks. Ms. Dawn, the virtual floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. You can hear me? Right? So it's a pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar, the much-awaited webinar with our colleagues from Koelnmesse India on unlocking India's F&B market for Philippine exporters. And we are especially focusing for today on the growing business potential between the Philippines and India. So I would like to thank Koelnmesse through our colleagues handling and organizing Anuga Select India for organizing this very timely session. And I also wanted to acknowledge my co-speakers for today. Thank you, Samir, who will share valuable insights on India's food and beverage market. And thank you so much, Justine, also for joining us from PhilFedEx, who will later guide our Philippine exporters on the PhilFedEx participation process, our Philippine Pavilion details, the timelines, and the exhibitor support. And of course, I would like to acknowledge all of the companies who are present in today's webinar. We are pleased to have attendees representing, I would say, the whole food value chain, from food manufacturing. We have from processed food, snacks, nuts, and agri-based products, and even, I think, from nutraceuticals. Thank you so much for joining us today. So allow me to introduce myself. I'm Dawn Cabigon. I'm the CEO of Fairs and More Inc. Fairs and More is a wholly owned subsidiary of the ECCP, the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines, and we represent Koelnmesse, which is one of the biggest show organizer in the world. In particular, they own the Anuga brand. And our role is to help Philippine companies access international trade platforms where real business opportunities can be created. So last year, we had a back-to-back success wherein we had the Tyfex Anuga Asia, and I believe their sales reached about $46.5 million, and then followed with Anuga in Cologne, Germany, where we had reached also our target sales of about $35 million. So this just goes to show that the Philippine F&B products are globally competitive, and there is really a strong international demand that can be unlocked when we bring the right companies to the right platforms. And I believe we do have the right companies to represent the Philippines in this platform. As far as India is concerned, India is one of the fastest growing food markets in the world, with rising demand for international, premium, natural, and health focused products. So I believe this creates a meaningful opportunity for Philippine companies, especially those offering high quality snacks like the dried fruits, our coconut based products, our agri based foods, our marine products, and other export ready items. On a personal note, I was actually in Mumbai back in 2023. I participated as a panel speaker at World CSR Day. And during my visit, I saw how banana chips are really a familiar and well-loved snack in India. And whenever the Philippines was mentioned, people immediately spoke about our mangoes. So I guess this shows that there is already a very positive association with Philippine food products. And our challenge now, or rather our opportunity, is to convert that recognition into stronger market access, buyer connections, and actual trade. So this webinar is very important because we would like to give our Philippine exporters a practical pathway, understanding the Indian market, identifying which products may succeed based on data that we have, and using Anuga Select India as a structured B2B platform to connect you with the right buyers. So with that, I hope this encourages more Philippine companies to look at India not only as a large market, but also as a serious and strategic partner for growth. Thank you so much, everyone, and I wish you a productive session. Back to you, Ali.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dawn, for your opening remarks. Now, let's move on to our next speaker. We are joined by Mr. Samir Mithia, Group Director of Koelnmesse Private Limited. Samir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ali. Hi, good afternoon, all the attendees, and thank you, Don, for setting the tone for the webinar. Yes, there has been an FTA signed between India and Philippines, and this creates a lot of business opportunities for the Philippine companies to come and present their products into the Indian market. Anuga Select India, we have been organizing the show from last 19 years in the Indian market, and it's one of the leading food show on B2B and beverage trade for the global companies to come and present their products in India. We have a huge participation from the international companies, with more than 8 country pavilions, on the show floor. And the key segments that we cater to is the food and beverage, finished foods, dairy, meat, poultry, and specialty foods. The show is organized into financial hub of Mumbai, which is India's financial hub. Over the period of time, there has been a huge growth of international participations in India. Why India we talk about is India as is one of the leading global economy, and there is a huge growth opportunities with a population base of 1.4 billion consumers. Now, when it comes to these Indian consumers, there has been a huge demand and huge change in the consumer mindset with growing importance of the international cuisines, and rapidly expanding the middle class population with the nuclear families in there, where the demand for the right kind of ready to eat products and the international products have been there. And when you talk about the consumption pattern of the Indian consumers, there is an openness towards the international cuisines, where you see a lot of products from Korea, from Italy, from Germany and the Philippines has been readily accepted, and there's a huge demand for these products. So mainly the fine foods, the specialty foods like jams and juices and the other products, premium products in terms of the chocolates and the cocoa powders, and basically these are the ones which have a huge demand in terms of overall thing, beverages as well, wines and specialty coffee, functional beverages. Your food concentrates basically are high in demand when it comes to the consumer preferences. India, as I said, it's more converting towards nuclear family, where both the family, husbands and wife are working in the populations, and there's been a huge demand on online retail. So e-commerce growth has been substantially high in India, where a lot of international products have been consumed through online portals in India. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, the important opportunities for the Philippine companies are mainly the processed food. There has been a 4.67 million of import US dollar import being done from India from the Philippine companies when mainly in regards to the fruits, nuts, and vegetables. The growing demand for the coconut-based products has also been seen in the market today. When it comes to the tropical fruits like banana chips, has already mentions dried mangoes, and dried food products have been a serious demand. Premium beverages in terms of like coffee and other things are also in a high demand when it comes to the products being selected from the Philippines market. And a strong distributor network, Anuga Select provides a huge opportunity for the Philippine companies to reach out to the right kind of buyers. We work very strongly with the importers associations, retailers, and the distributors, which will provide a right opportunity for these companies to kind of present their products to the right kind of buyers. This I would invite my other colleagues to kind of present the entire process of how they can participate and how they can approach for the companies to participation in India. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you, Samir, for that informative discussion. Next, let's hear about PhilFoodX participation process and key information. We are joined by Ms. Justine Bautista Reyes, Project Manager of the Philippine Anuga Select India Pavilion. Justine, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Ali, for that introduction. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Justine Bautista Reyes, and on behalf of PhilFoodX Incorporated, we're excited to walk you through this incredible opportunity for Philippine food and beverage exporters at the Philippine Pavilion at Anuga Select India 2026. So if you're on this call, you're already one step ahead, and over the next few minutes, we'll show you exactly why and how you can be a part of it. So let's proceed. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's start with the basics. So what exactly is this opportunity? So the Philippine Pavilion at Anuga Select India, which is one of India's most important B2B food and beverage trade shows, is organized by Koelnmesse, as mentioned earlier, and is the same world-class organizer behind Anuga Cologne and Tyfex 𝐬𝐸𝐸𝐸. So this is happening on September 29 to October 1, 2026 at the Bombay Exhibition Center in Mumbai, one of India's commercial and financial capital. So now, who is this for? Basically, it is for Philippine F&B exporters. If you are export ready, an SME with FDA compliant products, established exporters looking to enter and expand into South Asia, emerging brands with a compelling product story, regional food manufacturers with capacity to scale, and companies open to working with Indian distributors and or exporters. And optional, of course, as well, is if you already have the ASEAN Certificate of Origin eligibility. Okay, next slide, please. So who should exhibit? Let me give you a sense the scale that we're talking about when joining Anuga Select India. So in 2025, Anuga Select India drew over 21,000 trade visitors from over 60 countries. And these aren't actual casual walk-ins. So these visitor profiles include supermarket and grocery buyers, retailers and distributors, food manufacturers, hotels, airlines, and government institutions. So these are decision makers who come specifically to source products. And the show covers around 12 product segments, and the Philippines has a strong export-ready product across almost every single one of them. So which fall under agri-food, fine food, coffee, tea, seafood, snacks, bakery, organic products, you name it. So if your product fits any of these categories, there is a buyer in that hall who is actively looking for what you are selling. So we would like to call on Philippine F&B exporters and SMEs to come explore this opportunity with Anuga Select India. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So what you may be wondering, what Philippine products have the potential to win in India? As you can see here on the screen, there is a very high demand for coconut products, and these are oil, milk, water, flour, desiccated products rated very high in demand as India's health food segment is booming and actively importing premium coconut derivatives. So since Philippine coconut is world recognized, that reputation opens doors immediately. Next up, we have tropical fruits and dried snacks, such as dried mango, banana chips, as Miss Dawn mentioned earlier, dried pineapple, very high in demand. So here's a fun fact. Actually, India is one of the world's largest mango producers, and yet they import Philippine processed mango because of the quality and the gifting culture around it. So that in itself can tell you everything about premium positioning that will be available to Philippine exporters. Next, we also have seafood, whether processed or frozen products, such as canned tuna, sardines, ready to cook, also high in demand, as India's HoReCa sector is expanding fast and ASEAN food imports are actually growing 22% year on year. So that is a very live, active market that you can take advantage of. Next, we also have our growing categories, of course, which fall under sauces and condiments, coffee and specialty beverages, and healthy snacks. So Indian food manufacturers are also actively looking for authentic Asian flavor bases, and the specialty coffee scene in Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore is actually genuinely booming. So origin story products like Benguet Arabica command a strong premium there. So from this, we can see that message is clear. Philippine products are not just welcome in India, they're actually well in demand. Next slide, please. All right, so what are we trying to accomplish with the Philippine Pavilion? As you can see here, the Taste of the Philippines is actually the national branding of Philippine food pavilions in global trade shows. And first of all, our aim is to showcase Philippine food innovation. So we want buyers to walk into our pavilion and experience the full range of what the Philippines can offer. Not only scattered individual booths, but a cohesive, powerful national identity under one roof. So that Taste of the Philippines brand travels across many different countries and it lands with buyers. Secondly, we aim to drive export growth. So we're not just here for visibility. We want exhibitors walking out of the trade hall with real leads, real conversations and distributors, and real pathways to get their products on Indian shelves. And of course, we aim to facilitate buyer connections. So the event has a dedicated B2B matchmaking portal. So you can already pre-arrange meetings before you even get your feet on the ground for the event proper. So you won't just be standing at your booth waiting. You'll have a schedule of qualified buyers coming to you. And actually, the photos that you see here on the slide are from the Philippine Pavilion at TIFEX Anuga Asia in Bangkok last year. So the Taste of the Philippines brand made a very strong impression across multiple buyers from different countries. And we're bringing that same energy and that same track record to India this year. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about where we will physically be located at the venue. As you can see on the slide, we are boxed in red. So this is the Philippine Pavilion located at Cluster B16, Hall 6 of the Bombay Exhibition Center. And you can see here that we have a total area of 72 square meters divided into 12 booths, and each measuring around 6 square meters each. So that is a 2 by 3 meter space per slot. So being part of the country pavilion is a real advantage because buyers actively seek pavilions out as a group. So you get the foot traffic of the entire Philippine presence and not just walk-ins for individual booths. And I want to be very clear about this to the participants in this webinar is that we only have 12 slots available, and that is the total number of companies that will be able to take a booth a slot in the Philippine Pavilion in Anuga Select India this year. So once those slots are filled, there will be a wait list that we will open. So if you're seriously considering this, the time to reach out and inquire is now. And we would be accepting also any inquiries, queries, clarifications after this webinar. Next slide, please. Okay, so we now dive into the participation details. So what does your investment actually get you? So the investment for participation at Anuga Select India in the Philippine Pavilion this year is 3,000 US dollars per 6 square meter booth per slot. So this would be including the standard shell scheme booth, carpet flooring, fascia board with your company name, one information table, 2 chairs, 3 spotlights, a power socket, and a dustbin. So that's everything you need to present your brand professionally. And beyond the booth, you will also receive pre-event coordination care of the PhilFoodX team, export guidance from our members and founding members, pavilion operation support during the show, buyer introductions, and marketing support. So this would include as well an ad in the Philippine Pavilion product catalog. And this is important because the catalog gets distributed to local and international buyers. And there are already buyers looking at your products before you even exhibit at the expo. Further, we also facilitate travel tax exemption. So once you submit your required documents, we can already start processing this. And just a few guidelines to note as well. Booth assignments are done by draw lots at the exhibitor briefing, so everyone has a fair shot at where to be located within the pavilion. So if you want priority access to corner slots, which generally have more foot traffic and more visibility, you need to book at least 12 square meters or 2 booths. So reservations are only valid for 10 working days pending payment. So I hope that everyone who will be interested to secure a slot will be able to settle this immediately so that we won't be giving up your confirmation for the booth. And any unpaid reservations will be released to the wait list. Next slide, please. Okay, so how to apply? Basically, you can prepare your participation in 5 simple steps. So first off is reserving your slot. So by filling out the exhibitor application form, first slots are at a first confirmed, first served basis, and with only 12 booths available, this step is quite urgent. Okay, so step 2 is to confirm your participation by signing and submitting the contract and participation agreement, where payment terms are 50% down payment upon signing, and the remaining balance would be due on or before July 15, 2026. So step 3, once you have confirmed your payment and also submitted your contract and participation, you will be needing to submit and prepare early your mandatory requirements, such as a high-resolution company logo and product photos, a short company introduction with a maximum of 300 words for the product catalog. And in line with this, you will also need to submit your travel details, such as flight details, hotel accommodation information, and the required documents for the travel tax exemption processing, which will be needed by August 31, 2026. Of course, finally, once you have completed all the submissions with your travel and product requirements, this is the time for you to prepare for the fair itself. So come ready with product catalogs, your export pricing list, product samples, business cards, and all FDA permits and export certifications. So come prepared to sell because buyers are ready to buy. So our team will be guiding you through every step, so don't worry that you won't be doing any of this alone. Finally, next slide, please. Before we close, we would like to encourage everyone to be part of the Philippine delegation to India through the Philippine Pavilion at Anuga Select India. And this is probably one of the world's most populous countries and also one of the fastest growing major economies in the food and beverage market. And we would like everyone who would be interested to access India's fastest growing F&B import market, leverage also the preferential tariffs if your products are eligible for this, meet qualified importers, distributors, and retail buyers in one place, and exhibit under the powerful Taste of the Philippines national brand. And all of this, PhilFoodX will be able to assist you in handling logistics and coordination as well as buyer introductions. So under the Philippine Pavilion, this will give you a professional, unified presence in one of Asia's most important trade shows. And we would like to encourage everyone to sign up as we only have limited slots. And in order to do so, you may reach out to us, me, Justine Reyes, Project Manager, or Ms. April Robles, our Project Director, for any information that you may be needing or any clarifications with regards to your participation. So that concludes my presentation today. Thank you so much, everyone who joined us this afternoon for your time. And we'd be happy to take any questions before we close this webinar. Back to you, Ali.
Thank you very much, Justin, for your informative discussion. So, building on the insights shared by our speakers, India continues to emerge as a high potential market for Philippine food experts, presenting strong opportunities across coconut products, tropical fruits, seafood, and specialty food items. This is an opportune time to further explore and engage with this dynamic market. We'd also like to encourage the presence of Mr. Ruben C., President of PhilFood Processors and Exporters Organization Incorporated, who is joining us on this call. With that, we will now open the floor for the Q&A session. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box or raise your hand, and we will be happy to call on you. Alternatively, you can also drop your queries at the broadcast portion of the Zoho link. So kindly ask your questions so that our speakers may be able to answer them if you have any inquiries. Okay, so we do have one question that will benefit every attendee who attended this exhibitor briefing. So for all our speakers, what would be your key advice for Philippine SMEs looking to successfully enter and establish themselves in the Indian food and beverage market for the first time, specifically in the context of Anuga Select India?
I think Samir, you could answer that question. And then we have two other questions online. Yeah, go ahead, Samir.
Yeah, Ali, can you just repeat the question once?
Hi, Samir. What would be your key advice for Philippine SMEs looking to successfully enter and establish themselves in the Indian food and beverage market for the first time? So these are small and medium enterprises. What would you advise them?
Yeah, see, India is a very diverse market, and we have multiple culture present in India. So it is really important for any company to come and present in India, not only once, but you have to be present, you have to be there in the market and understand the market first. We also do provide, as Anuga Select India, we also do provide an opportunity by doing a retail walk on day zero, which would help them to understand which are the products in the market, what kind of a consumer trends, and we take them around the retail store. So I would recommend to be a part of that retail work, which would really help them to be understand the market well, and also be present. And you have to be repeating your participation. It is really difficult, important that you understand the market and you be there in the market, because that is very important as a Indian market to do the business in India.
So thank you, Samir. Additionally, someone asked from our attendees, "Hi, I would like to ask, are processed pork products allowed to enter India?"
Pork, yes, I believe, it is allowed to be imported in India.
All right. So are there estimates of I think these are for other speakers as well. Are there any estimates of total costs, fare, food, and accommodation? It was posed
Um,
by Ms. Lucila.
yes. So maybe I would suggest also that the estimated total cost we would say for accommodation would be around um, 5 to 15,000 for hotel fares per night. So for airfare, it would range also from 35 to 60,000, depending also on the timing of your booking. So for food, we would recommend also to budget around 60 US dollars per day per person for all the meals that will be consumed during the fair proper.
Thank
I
you,
think
Justin.
yeah, it would be best also given also the um, economic setting currently to canvas your expenses from flights, hotels, and food as soon as you can. Once you are already preparing also your investments for the fair, so that you may be able to maximize your participation for upcoming September to October 2026.
All right. Thank you, Justin. So are there any more questions from our audience? Oh, here. Is there a hosted buyers program? And if yes, will exhibitors be given access to the list?
Yes, we do have.
Early, sorry,
We do. Sorry, can I answer this question, Justin?
Yes, go ahead.
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we do have a hosted buyer program, and we will be pre-arranging meetings for the exhibitors with these hosted buyers.
Great. Thank you, Samir. Lastly, if there are no more questions, could you share with us what sets Anuga Select India apart from other international food and beverage trade fairs?
I mean, the if we are looking at the Indian market, Anuga Select India is the only international fair that presents an opportunity to connect to the entire Indian growing industry of the food and beverage sector.
Okay. Thank you, Samir. If there are no more questions, um, we can still ask actually. But if there are no more questions, I would like to close today's briefing, and we would like to thank all our distinguished speakers for their time and valuable insights. Today's discussion reminds us that Anuga Select India 2026 is more than just a premier trade exhibition. It is a strategic global platform that connects suppliers, manufacturers, and buyers, where Philippine food products and brands have a strong opportunity to shine. We sincerely hope that you will join us at the first Philippine Pavilion at Anuga Select India 2026 to showcase the quality, innovation, and global competitiveness of the Philippine food industry on the international stage. Once again, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in India.
Hi. I think there's a last question on the participation fee. So after
All
this, we
right.
can send the details by email.
All right. If one of our speakers could answer this question, how much again is the participation fee?
Yes, hi, Miss Faye. The participation fee is 3,000 US dollars for 6 square meter booth at the Philippine Pavilion.
All good. Okay, so that's the last question. And the team will send all the details of participation after the webinar by email. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.